Hello and welcome back. In the last lesson, we looked at how you could pass parameters to a React component. So here we passed a string and a number into the click button component. So in this lesson, we're going to see how we can also pass functions to a React component. And rather than writing my own function, what I can do here is just make use of the setter function for the counter. It's being passed, I just wasn't destructuring it. So if I take advantage of this function here, I can pass it as a parameter to the click button. I'll just say, let's say callback equals set counter, and allow the click button to execute set counter and set the next value of count each time it's clicked. So let's go into click button. We've extended the list of parameters to callback, and what I'll do is I will extend the number of attributes. At the moment we've just got one, which is the class name attribute. I'll now say on click. Well, that's another attribute, and I'll say that is equal to the expression, and that's going to be an arrow function. And it is going to call the callback, so I'll say call the callback function that I was passed, execute it, and pass to it the count plus 1. So whatever the value of the count is, when the user clicks, we'll call this callback function and we'll pass a number 1 higher. And of course, the app is going to receive that into set counter and set the counter 1 higher than it was before. Once the state changes, app will redisplay, and we should see a sort of ripple effect where everything is updated with a new count. So let's go ahead and run that. And as I click me, you can see that the number is rising. Maybe just tidy this up and remove that. A little bit ugly, isn't it? And now we can click and we're watching the count. So we're beginning to see the real power of React, just a tiny change like that. And we've got 3 components all talking to each other. Now, you may have noticed that the title of this lesson is Lifting State and think, what on earth is that all about? So, well, let me just show you an earlier version of the click button that we were working with in a previous lesson, actually in the use state lesson. So here it is, here's the old center button. And if we look here, look, the button was looking after its own state. The on-click counter was calling its own set counter function, and the value counter was held within the button. It didn't affect anything outside of itself. And although we could print the value of the counter within the button, clearly we couldn't sort of export it anywhere else. So the reason we talk about lifting state is if we compare this, what we've now done is we've taken the state, we've removed it out of the button. There's no state in the click button. And instead, we've raised it into the app level. So the counter now exists at app level. And this is why it's called lifting state. And generally, we lift state when we want a parent to have a number of different children all working with the same state. So in this case, we've got click button actually setting the state, and then we've got the banner actually displaying it. And so the parent looks after state and passes down to the children. So this is a very common technique in React. But it's not the only way of sharing state amongst the sort of hierarchy of components. When we've got sort of deep levels of hierarchy and we want a state item to be shared by all of them, there is another mechanism known as React context. And that's what we're going to look at in the next couple of lessons. So I'll see you there.